Hi, my name is Kelly Lorraine and welcome to my series, Learning Tarot for Self-Development. In previous videos, I've been answering your questions. We've been talking about how to purchase a tarot deck, should it be gifted to you, should you read reversals. Don't worry, I'm still going to answer your questions, but I think I'm finally ready to delve into the cards themselves. I am so pleased to be a part of your spiritual path. I will be guiding you through the Fool's Journey, which is a magical and deep study of life's ups and downs. Ultimately, this series is going to help you discover who shuffles your cards. The Fool's Journey in Tarot is a symbolic adventure throughout the Major Arcana. Now, what do I mean by the Major Arcana? Card 0 all the way to card 21. These are the major themes that we will encounter throughout our life. Now, just so you know, you're not just going to go through one cycle in your life. I mean, we could look at it like that, age 0 to the day we leave this earth. However, you're going to have multiple cycles throughout your life where you're going to be learning, you're going to be growing, you're going to be going through the ups and downs and seeing where life takes you. Each card is going to offer you lessons about yourself personally and the people around you. The cards are going to show you the challenges that are part of the life cycle, how to navigate them, and how to spark new energy in your life. Throughout this experience, you're going to uncover some truths about yourself, maybe some things that you never thought would come to the surface. I'm hoping that it will empower you to take control of your own destiny. Together, let's embark on this journey with open hearts and open minds. Isn't it amazing how significant life experiences lead us to explore new realms of understanding? I want you to take a second and ask yourself, do you remember the first time you came across a tarot reading? For many, tarot becomes an informative tool when we're going through the most transformative times. Before we begin, I invite you to think about what has drawn you to tarot cards. Earlier I asked, do you remember the first time you encountered a tarot card reading? I do. I was having a psychic reading done about my marriage and about the loss of my grandfather. The psychic advisor that I was speaking to was so knowledgeable, so helpful, and in our discussion, she basically said to me, Kelly, have you ever heard of twin flames? And I was like, no. And I was totally shocked about this fact because as a Virgo, I'd like to think that I know about a lot of different things because I love learning. So this led me to go onto YouTube, watch a video that she recommended, and next thing you know, I'm seeing tarot card readings with twin flame references, and there my journey begun. I should also mention that this was back in 2017 when my marriage was ending. And like many, I was sparked by a person who randomly came into my life. Now you might wonder why I say sparked. I say sparked because I had no idea that it was coming. I wasn't even expecting to meet this person. It was almost like this dangling carrot, as I describe it, that came down in front of me and said, do you want this? Do you want to see where this takes you? This looks really good. You can have this. And of course, I did. I went after it. Why wouldn't I? My life was crumbling. There had been infidelity in our marriage. I was absolutely devastated. I was at my lowest of low. My parents were living with me. I was dealing with boundary issues. I had a grandmother that was very difficult. That's the first thing. Second thing was she was quite ill. She broke her hip, had a heart attack, was in the hospital, and not doing very well. At that time, my grandfather, he busted her out of the hospital, took her out of their bed, brought her home, locked the doors, and I was the one that was taking care of all of these things. My life was crumbling and I was suffering on the inside. And the sad part is that nobody really knew that I was going through this. Now, to add to this, a year later, my grandmother fell, broke her hip, had a heart attack again. She passed away. And then my grandfather really struggled. He tried to do some things that were not so good for his future, if you know what I mean. And I felt very emotionally connected to him, and I took a lot of that burden on my shoulders. My father also had dementia and Parkinson's. He had even had a previous illness that led him to surgeries, and it was really tough to see him in this condition. I was also worried about my mother, who was taking care of my father, and I was in a career that wasn't as fulfilling as it used to be. I moved homes. I started my tarot card reading business. I've been through the process of making major life changes for probably the last 10 years of my life. So I totally understand where you're coming from when you're telling me that you didn't anticipate this sparked energy into your life. When you become sparked, whether it's by a person or a situation, it usually is in response to the fact that maybe you've had a health crisis, an accident, a death of a loved one, death of a relationship, meaning a breakup, a divorce, you name it. It's almost like we get these life events that just absolutely shake us up. And in that process, we get sparked. Now, I do sessions with a lot of people, and often we get sparked by a specific person who comes into our life. This is what happened to me. Everything was crumbling and changing, and there was this person who came in and sort of showed me a reflection of myself, showed me that love was possible or that good things can come my way. It almost felt like I was finally getting my due after going through such a tough situation or situations. How many of you had this exact same thing happen, where you had a major life event and then all of a sudden you were sparked? Let me know in the comments. I'd really love to know your experience. So remember I mentioned earlier about the tarot readings and the twin flame references that I saw on YouTube? Well, that only increased because as I was sparked, as I was going through this reawakening, as I call it, I was watching more tarot card readings, and I was so fascinated by how it could just read my story. Now, I've been intuitive my entire life. If you know me, you know that I've had reoccurring dreams since probably the age of 5, which are linked, by the way, to the twin flame journey. I can always tell you that story another time, but I've always just had this knowing, this claircognizance, I guess you could call it. My gifts have only increased throughout this reawakening process, and it basically led me to tarot card reading. I should probably clarify that I use the word sparked in relation to the twin flame journey. I'm not really a fan of the label twin flame, and the reason is because it has become so overused and commercialized. Many people think that the twin flame journey is solely about romance and finding that specific person that is the only one for you. What I've come to realize about this beautiful journey is that it's really about self-love. Yes, it does feel really good for a time, but ultimately it forces us to make boundaries and make changes and to put ourselves first. If you'd like to see a visual representation of what I mean by sparked in regards to the twin flame journey, I think you should have a look at my video, The Cake Analogy. I will link it in the description box below. I'd really love your feedback on this video. Please let me know if it resonates. So earlier when I mentioned all these significant life events, health crisis, death of a loved one, divorce, etc., we call those tower moments, and it refers to the tower card in tarot, which is part of the Major Arcana, and I will discuss that card more in depth at a later time. But essentially, it's a very transformative moment, and that is essentially what sparks you to make major changes. Now, nobody likes to have a tower moment. I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't enjoy having to go through my whole life being uprooted and going through the most massive heartbreak I've ever been through. For women, this tends to happen around the age of 35. Now, it doesn't have to be 35 right on the dot. I'm not sure where it was for you, but take a look back around that time. Did you have something major happen? Did you address it? Did you partially address it? Did you sweep it under the rug? Because it does make a difference. If you addressed it, great. If you partially addressed it or you swept it under the rug, this is something that can come back at a later time. What I've seen from experience is that it comes back at 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, etc. If we don't acknowledge these tower moments, then we keep getting more of them. It's almost like the universe wants to get your attention, wants you to make the changes, wants you to put yourself first so that you're not having to go through all this upheaval and hurt ever again. For men, I feel like this happens more around age 43. Now, men, please let me know in the comments if that's been accurate to you. I'd say it's around 43 and then it's so on and so forth, approximately every 10 years. In general, I would like to know, at what ages did you experience tower moments? Please let me know in the comments. So just to recap what I mentioned earlier in the video, the Major Arcana in Tarot is a set of 22 cards, card 0 to card 21. It is a symbolic path of spiritual growth and evolution. As we explore these cards, you will encounter keywords, anecdotes, tips, and self-development or self-reflection questions that can help you on this journey. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about myself, and it's not because I want to talk about myself or hear myself talk. It's because I want to model to you what I've been through, how I got through it, and hopefully these things can help you too. Link to this video is the Fool, card 0. Let's go. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, please give it a comment, please give me a subscribe. It really helps people find my videos, and hopefully it can help many people throughout their spiritual journeys. See you in the next video.